There's nothing quite like the holiday season. It's the best time of the year, but also far and away one of the most hectic. Simplify what you eat with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal delivery service. My wife's a teacher, and Factor's had her covered for lunches at school. The jalapeno cheddar chicken is her favorite meal so far, while I've quickly taken to the creamy Parmesan chicken and green pepper and beef casserole as Ole Miss football rings in the postseason and it's prime recruiting season. We haven't skipped a beat at our house because we can rely on Factor. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. All you have to do is heat and enjoy. What are you waiting for? Head on over to factormeals.com/TOC50 and use our special Talk of Champions promo code TOC50 to get 50% off. That's right. Factormeals.com/TOC50 and promo code TOC50 to get 50% off. Continue to support your wellness goals while feeling your best this holiday season. Try Factor today, a proud sponsor of the Talk of Champions podcast network.
See my baby, mama, standing around. Somewhere, baby, mama, shake 'em all down. No, I'm a star. Lord, I'm a shake 'em down.
Yo, welcome into Hit That Line. I'm your host, Zach Berry, the Rivalry Week Edition, Week 13. Austin Gray, Ben Woodhouse, Nicholas Carr, all here. Legal Gambling Council present and accounted for. Gentlemen, a little bit earlier in the week, but the Rebs have a short week, and we've got a holiday, so welcome in. Good evening.
Happy Egg Bowl week to those who celebrate.
Yeah, it's nice having a bye last week. That was a lot of fun. Got to watch a lot of football and rest a little bit.
I am of the opinion that the Egg Bowl should not be on Thanksgiving. Maybe a hot take.
I hate it.
Get it over with.
Yeah, but
there's like a handful of people
thing.
who like all of Mississippi State likes it, and then Nick and his friends like it. Everybody else doesn't.
So untrue.
You covered it when you said all of State likes it.
Well, they already eat with TV trays, already. So, I'll say this: it's nice when Ole Miss wins because then it's games already out of the way. You can watch Friday, Saturday, but I still just would rather it not be on the holiday.
I'm not going to point the finger, but it does appear as though for those attending the game, they like it on Thursday. For those watching from their house in our state's capital, they like it on Saturday.
I'm sorry I'm not trekking down to Starkville, Mississippi on Thanksgiving and my daughter's second birthday.
Is that right?
Happy birthday.
Her birthday Thursday. Happy birthday.
Yeah, she's Thanksgiving baby. So, but yeah, I don't know. It is like, I'll say this, I do appreciate all the eyeballs. Only game on TV, right? On Thursday. Is that correct?
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
So that is cool. Like, everybody's tuning in, but when I talked with David Brandt today, I was telling him I think most of the national media want this game to be, wacky Egg Bowl, like wild and crazy. And I don't think it's going to be that this year. And I think they're going to hate it. Like,
I will say
they want a tight nail biter back and forth. They don't want a blowout.
Well, I mean,
in fairness, for so many of those early Egg Bowls that were standalone games on Thursdays, really the only thing that the game offered was wackiness, was fights and riots and whatever, because neither team was all that nationally relevant. I mean, there were some good teams, during those early years.
Playing for some Independence Bowl berths.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
But we weren't nationally relevant. Now, over the last 15 years or so, that's, there have been a couple of nationally relevant games, but I think it's where that comes from. People want to be entertained more than they want to watch like good football. I think they're used to like the circus-like atmosphere of the game from years past. Kiffin and Leach last year definitely toned it down.
Yeah.
I think for Leach, for Leach and Kiffin, it was just a game. I suspect this year there will be a little more heat though.
There's definitely like the highest percentage of, like shithousery that happens in this game than other games. And I don't just necessarily mean like crazy, wacky peeing in the end zone, guy fumbling in the end zone, missing a field, PAT, whatever. I just mean, how often are there shoving matches in this particular matchup compared to other ones? I feel like it's got to be pretty high. There's like Kiffin talking to the players. There's a fight on the field in Oxford. There was a pregame fight with recruits, 20 years ago. It's pretty high up there in terms of
A&M was chippy
shuffles.
this year, at least on their end. It was chippy. I mean,
it was.
They had a dude punch our guy in the balls.
Yeah.
And they were.
And McKinley
chippy the
Jackson
whole
was
game.
McKinley Jackson was borderline dirty during that game.
Oh, he was dirty.
Yeah.
He was dirty from my vantage point. But he wasn't the only one. There were like 5 or 6. I mean, they were. I don't know that State during the game could be any chippier than A&M. Now, pregame is always chippy in the Egg Bowl, but during the game, I don't think anybody could be. I mean, that's as dirty. I think we were texting about during the game. That's as dirty as I can remember ever a game. Especially as one-sided as it was. Like our guys were like looking like, "What are y'all doing?" It was ridiculous, frankly.
Yeah.
I texted y'all during the game and said this feels like a State game. Like A&M's D-line, they were late. Yep. They were piling on every play. Obviously the shot to the nuts. McKinley Jackson was, yeah.
I mean, in State people, I'm sure somebody out there has podcasted and said that an Ole Miss player intentionally hurt Nick Fitzgerald again.
Oh God, the Nick Fitzgerald play and the Deuce McAllister, Wes Shivers, it's like their Zapruder film. Like they to this day swear that Deuce hit Wes Shivers with a football helmet before the game. And what was that, 97?
Yeah, 97, 90. Deuce was a freshman, whatever that was. 98 maybe? 97, 97, yeah.
Again, the funniest part of the Nick Fitzgerald thing is just that defense was so bad that year. So bad. The idea that we could call the break the ankle play and they would successfully execute it is just hilarious. Like, we struggled to just tackle people, just make a regular tackle, much less like pull an MMA move on somebody.
Man, I don't, maybe it's chippy this year. I'm just not really seeing it that much. I don't know.
I don't
it
either.
Seems to me that the chippiest games are when, for example, 2012, the Feed Moncrief game, Ole Miss was coming off of 3 straight losses to State, and Dan Mullen running his mouth for three solid years, 09, 10, and 11. That had built up into something so that pregame, I mean, it was that stadium was a bottle rocket, and then it was chippy in 13 and 14. And then I haven't really felt that since then, not that much. I mean, I wasn't there when AJ went off in Starkville in 17, so maybe it was at that time. I'm sure Nick was there, but I don't recall. I mean, Elijah Moore's deal was crazy, but I don't remember there being a lot of fights unless I just didn't notice it.
Oh, there was a fight in Oxford, like what, 5 years ago?
Oh yeah, 19 or
18,
18 maybe.
2018.
Yeah, and then didn't one of the players kind of like run up on Kiffin last year or 2 years ago in Starkville, and he. So I mean, like there hasn't been fight, but like that's pretty kind of crazy,
Kiffin,
especially the big fight with Corral.
Kiffin like patted an Auburn guy on the butt after he gave us a free first down on the 2-yard line this year in Auburn. So I don't know that that's unique to State with him. It may be, but don't you remember that Auburn got a personal foul late hit, and Kiffin like patted the dude on the butt as he walked as he walked back to the. I was like, "Oh, dude, don't get us."
I'll say this:
don't get us penalty.
Kiffin will, chirp on Twitter all during the week. During the game, though, he's pretty locked in. But like, if players chirp at him, he'll chirp back.
Oh yeah, he will.
But last year with A&M, where the guy came up and started chirping at him, and Kiffin told him to lay down again and fake an injury. And
Yeah.
So I don't know if this one will be super chippy. Will Rogers has kind of chirped a little bit in the rivalry, but I just don't know if this Ole Miss team has enough guys to chirp back at him to where it's worth it. Like if it's just wasted energy.
Yeah, I think
Like
thing is that
Jackson Dart doesn't care about.
yeah, so I was going to say is that most of our star players like Dart and Trey Harris and Quinshon and Dayton Wade, none of those guys are Mississippians. Now,
Bentley.
but I don't know that you have to be a Mississippian to take the rivalry seriously. That's not what I'm saying. But I just think it hits different for Dante Moncrief, for Benito Jones,
CJ Johnson,
for Drell Poe, CJ Johnson, maybe the best example. I think it does hit different for those dudes. Again, that's not to say. I mean, I expect every guy I just mentioned to come out, locked on and ready to win the game. So I don't expect a lack of effort at all. But I do think you may get maybe that contributes to the heat is when you've got Mississippi contributors on our side, and we don't this year.
Well, I think a little bit of a, I guess devil's advocate, them beating us last year may spark a little bit more. Maybe not, but I would think
no,
that
I agree.
that we're more focused. For example, I specifically remember before the 2012 game, the Feed Moncrief game. I mean, Randall Mackey was one of the main ones on our team. That guy's from Louisiana, running his mouth at State pregame. I mean, people were looking at me, they're like, they're about to fight. I mean, the team, it like I said, it was, that place was hot pregame. But State doesn't have a coach right now. I just don't see it's just a different. I could have it completely mispegged, but they were just in a 3.5 quarter dogfight against Southern Miss.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
They're a 59-yard touchdown run and a pick six that was aided by a lateral from being up 6 on one of the worst defenses in college football.
Yeah, anybody that watched that game last week knows how fluky the State cover was. They probably deserved to win the game. I don't think Southern was going to beat them outright, but it was a very fluky cover.
If Southern had a decent quarterback, it would have been tight. Because Frank Gore Jr. can run, and they had a plan offensively and put up points, but they just, those third and mediums, third and longs, when you can't run Gore, they just couldn't convert them. And, State gets the, and I guess you could say, well, Southern had the kickoff return for a touchdown, sure. But yeah, the pick six that was aided, was it Jet Johnson picks it off, and then as he's getting tackled, laterals at somebody. I mean, again, it doesn't matter how it unfolded. You're only up 6 midway through the fourth on Southern Miss.
Yeah, Southern had 3 turnovers too, man. I mean, they're part of the game, just like kick returns are. But I mean, far from dominant.
Yeah, well, talking with David Brandt today, he lives out in Arizona, and I told him, I was like, man, Jed Fish and them have got to just be punching themselves in the face every day for losing that Mississippi State game.
Playing the wrong quarterback.
Yeah. And I mean, had him in overtime. I mean, had the first down. If DeLaura just extends his arm, 2 inches, it's a first down. And then who knows what happens. But I don't know. Let's get into the game. Let's get into some analysis here and break down the game. We've talked about it plenty. I was talking to our buddy Gray Hardison over at Red Cup Rebellion about it, and he went through the, kind of the schedule, went through the results for State, and he pointed out, even with a healthy Will Rogers, this offense has just been brutally, just brutally pathetic. I mean, this offense, there's no rhythm. There's no continuity with skill players. The O-line is bad. Jaquavius Marks is banged up. I'm pretty sure he's going to give it a go, but there's no chance he's 100%. Will Rogers is going to play. He's not 100%. But going through their schedule, Mississippi State scored 14 on LSU, 30 on South Carolina in a shootout, 17 against Bama, and then without Will Rogers, 7 on Arkansas, 13 on Auburn, 3 on Kentucky, and 10 on A&M. So even with Will Rogers being out, after the Arkansas game and on, I mean, just a terrible offense. Just, I know Nick is going to come dump a Gatorade cooler of cold water on us in a minute, but just before we got started talking about that 2015 game where Ole Miss just had more talent, I kind of think that's how this one is right here. Better quarterback, better skill players, better head coach, better run game. As a whole, as a unit, I think the defense is slightly better. This Ole Miss defense is still top 10 in the country in sacks. I think that's the key here, is you protect your quarterback and get after their quarterback. And I think that's where this one's won, and I think that's what Ole Miss is going to do. I think they're going to get after Will Rogers. He's already limited, and he can't move anyway. He's not a super elusive guy, and he's not in the air raid anymore. So there is no dink and dunk, get rid of it to, negate a pass rush. And the offensive line is just not good. I like Ole Miss to possibly have this one at or close to out of reach by halftime.
Well, I do find it interesting that this I guess revival that they're trying to have and rallying cry around the quarterback that they all wanted benched 6 games ago. It's like, wait a minute, he wasn't good enough for you then, and now he's going to come in and be the savior in the Egg Bowl. I'm not following that, but Zach, to add to your point, fortunately for State, their defense has made up for their lack of offense by giving up 41 to LSU, 37 to South Carolina, 40 to Alabama, 28 to Western Michigan, 27 to Auburn. Guys, what did Auburn score 21 against us with that late touchdown? I feel like if we really, really lined up and played and didn't just go full prevent once we went up 28-14 or whatever, I don't know that Auburn – I don't know, man. And we gave them short fields. I don't know that they scored 27 points against us in like 8 quarters. That's just an absurd.
You can tell in games when Pete Golding puts it into cruise control. And it's just,
100% you can. It drives me crazy.
Engage 8, keep them in front, make the tackle.
And it is, forgive me if I'm wrong, but I thought Kentucky was, very average to below. That they lost that game 24-3 just 3 weeks ago, 51-10 to A&M with a lame duck coach. I don't see that. Now I get it. It's the Egg Bowl. Throw the records out the window. Whatever the adage is, we're going to get their best shot. Yada yada. Will Rogers Sr. going to play out of his mind. Jaquavius Marks going to play out of his mind. Tulu Griffin, whoever it is. I can't see a scenario. I mean, I guess I can see a scenario. Ole Miss turns the ball over 5 times or something, and the offensive line can't block State's D-line because it's injured. But, I mean, these games, it's not as if they're knocking on the door of winning any of these SEC games. Did they win? No. They beat Arkansas. That's the one that they did. But but these other ones, they're, I think, and I even think the South Carolina game was 20-17, so that was closer. But Carolina won 37-30. But I don't know, man. I can't see. I think Ole Miss covers here. And if the line's down to 10, by the end of it, I may have to take it as a lock. I'm not sure yet. I feel like I always jinx us when I lock us in, so I may not do it.
So I'll say this before Austin and Nick go. If you look at any time Mississippi State played any offense with a pulse this year, They lost. Whipped by LSU 41-14. They lost by 7 on the road to Spencer Rattler in South Carolina. Okay, that was a close one. Alabama lost 40-17. And then just eat and it will include A&M, 51-10, blown out. After that, even mediocre to bad offensive teams. Kentucky lost 24-3. Auburn 27-13. I mean, I don't see, even with, even if Will Rogers was 100%, this offense is not beating this Ole Miss team. Like his arm, he was already limited with his arm when he was healthy. Because, I mean, he was great in the air raid. He could dink and dunk, anywhere from, 4 yards to 12 yards with the best of them. And then he might take a shot and throw a ball to a spot and somebody go get it. But, I mean, he's not driving the football down the field in this offense, especially with the injury. So, I mean, and who's he throwing to?
Yeah. I mean, I think you said it. His average depth of target, even when he's perfectly healthy, is like 8 yards. But against Southern Saturday, he was clearly still banged up. I was really surprised they had rushed him back against Southern, which I think speaks to just how inept they have been offensively without him. But not just Rogers. Marks, their running back, was banged up too. I mean, and he got hurt again in the Southern game. Looks like it's like a hammy or ankle, knee, something. It's a lower body injury. I mean, I think both of them are very limited. They're obviously going to play. They want to play. It's a big game. I get it. But I don't think they're going to be anywhere close to 100% effective. And even if they were, I kept trying to figure out like a comp for this game. Aren't they just 25% worse Auburn? Isn't that who State is? They're just like their quarterback's really not any better than Auburn's. Their running backs aren't better than Auburn's. Their coaches, certainly at this point in the season, aren't better than Auburn's. Defensively, they're kind of like Auburn on that side of the ball. Maybe State has better linebackers, but I kind
Yeah.
of like Auburn's front, just the same as I like State's. Auburn's secondary is far superior to State's secondary. So, we went on the road to Auburn. I think in the preview show, we said, we're the better football team. Just go win the game. Don't turn the ball over. Don't shrink in the moment. Don't do anything stupid on special teams, and you'll win the game because you're better than they are. I think all of that's true for this game. Like, is there a single position on the field where State is superior? Maybe a couple
No.
linebacker spots. Maybe.
Not even
But
the place
are you
kicker.
matching the linebackers to the running backs? Because if that's the case,
Oh, yeah,
then
exactly. Yeah, no.
if those are the
Maybe
counterparts,
maybe
I'm not seeing
Mississippi
that.
State's punter is better.
Yeah, no, that's I'll
Their
give you
D
that one.
line's better than our O line.
So that's the thing. That's the area that worries me a little bit because I told Nick this earlier in the week. People are, I think rightly pumped to have Williams back and healthy potentially, which I think Kiffin said he's going to go. And I'm afraid that Ole Miss fans are treating that as if it's a magic bullet when Williams hasn't been able to play this year. Like he hasn't been able to get on the field. So relying on a backup to solve all your problems on the offensive line, that's a dicey proposition. I think what it does, his presence does allow you though to put other guys in their sort of their right positions, right? We get to slot in guys at positions they're more accustomed to playing. Like Warren gets to move back to center. You can slide Kern out at right tackle. James can move back in at right guard, which I think is a more natural fit than some of the positions they had to play last week. And then obviously against Georgia was a shit show because we were playing musical chairs against an elite defensive line. So I don't think Williams fixes everything. Obviously, Pettis' absence looms large and will, even in our bowl game. But I do think it allows us to sort of reshuffle the deck. Um, I I don't know that we're going to dominate them at the point of attack, but I also haven't seen State stalemate any SEC team this year outside of Arkansas 7-3 game against Arkansas, who didn't have a healthy Rocket Sanders. KJ was dinged up, and that was the game that got their offensive coordinator fired. So you
Mhm.
throw out that one, that one piece of data. State hasn't dominated anybody in the trenches this year. Hell, they didn't dominate Southern in the trenches. So I
Keep
think at
keep
a
in
minimum,
mind.
go ahead.
Go ahead. No, they had 205 yards against Arkansas. State did
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
of
Oh, yeah.
offense.
So
Yeah, yeah. Now, in comparison, Arkansas had 200 yards of offense. That should
Right.
fire any.
yeah,
That's Iowa numbers
That's
right there.
terrible.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
I think
that's
it's a
that's
it's a
getting Nick
copy.
excited.
I think it's a copy paste from the Auburn game. I think it may play out the exact same way. I hope the strategy is the same for us. Now, against Auburn, you could argue the score should have been worse. We kind of took our foot off the gas late, and
Mhm.
really were hampered by stupid procedural penalties throughout that game. Um, it could have been 3-4 score game against Auburn, really.
Yeah.
Uh, so play a clean game. Dart just play his give us the Jackson Dart B+ B game. No turnovers, no penalties, or few penalties. I know
Limit
we're
the
good for like,
penalties, yeah.
yeah, let's limit the penalty. We're good for like 4 stupid holding penalties or procedural penalties a game, but um, limit the penalties. And I'm kind of with Ben here. The number crashing surprises the hell out of me. I understand people saying I can't lay more than 10 on the road in the Egg Bowl. I get that. I do. But I'm just like, have you watched the teams play? Like, have you seen these teams play this year? The, I cannot get under 10. If the number goes under 10, that is a hammer time play for me. At 10, I'll stay away, I guess. But it does feel like it's like 35-17 Rebs.
It's a little
Yeah.
low at 10.
I I just before Nick has the floor, I think Austin nailed it with Jaden Williams is not he's not Laramie Tunsil. It's not, oh, he's back, lockdown, but it allows everyone else to slide back to where they're most comfortable. And keep in mind, he hasn't played a ton this year, but Jaden Williams played a lot last year. So this isn't his first time, playing SEC on the road. Like he's done it before. And
Oh, he's a
yeah,
quality backup. I mean, he's
yeah,
as
yeah.
good a backup at left tackle
And
as maybe we've had ever.
yeah. And like you said, Dart doesn't have to be lights out, can't miss, A+ game. He has to serviceable. 19 for 26, 195, 200. I think they're going to really make a point to establish the run game early, just because I think that's important on the road. And Quinshon Judkins is 67 yards away from another 1,000-yard season. And I think they're going to be able to run the football. I think they're going to attack the edges a lot, more outside zone look against State, because I think they're going to try to clog the middle. But I just think the Ole Miss receivers are too good. They're going to be some free runners. Dart's going to hit some big shots, and State's just. I think this has a chance to get out of control late first quarter, early second quarter, and State just kind of quits. What do they have to play for?
Oh gosh.
I mean, okay, tell me, what do they have? Are they going to be just absolutely geeked, fired up to play for Memphis or Shreveport?
I mean, they're geeked up to beat Ole Miss, keep us out of an Access Bowl, get to a bowl game. They're
Okay.
geeked up to play for their ATV riding coach. Look, you guys have made great points. Nothing that you said I truly wholeheartedly disagree with. If this were a regular season game, this is not a regular season game. This is Mississippi State's Super Bowl, and they're going to play accordingly. I actually tend to think that Ole Miss probably covers the number, and it's like me saying Ole Miss is not going to win by 40 points all of a sudden makes me think Ole Miss is going to lose. I think it will be a close game at some point, either late in the third quarter or in the fourth quarter. Ole Miss will be ahead by one score or less, aka 7 or less points, and State will have the football. I don't necessarily mean it's going to be with a minute to go at the Ole Miss 5-yard line. It could be with 15 minutes to go in the fourth quarter at State's own 5-yard line, and then they punt and Ole Miss scores, and that's it. My point is, I think in the fourth quarter or extremely late in the third quarter, it is a one possession game and State has the football. I just haven't seen a full game from Ole Miss away from home, a full 4-quarter game. The game at Auburn, not a full 4-quarter game. It was, close to the half. The game at Tulane, obviously not a full 4-quarter game. We trailed in the second half or in the fourth quarter. And then we know what happened at Alabama and at Georgia. I just haven't seen us put together even 3 good quarters, but definitely not 4 good quarters on the road this year. I just don't expect we'll do it. I think at some point, I expect it'll probably be in the first half, just because they'll have some, they kind of be playing for the crowd and playing for the coach and stuff. And by the second half, the talent will win out. But I think in the first half, we will look sluggish. It will be like a 10-7 game at the half. And we're like, what are we doing here? And yet Dart's got, some incompletions, and we just haven't looked great. That's my point. I don't necessarily think Ole Miss is going to lose the game. I really don't think that. But at the same time, I mean, there's been good Ole Miss teams that have lost to bad state teams. And Ben's going to ask me, oh, exactly when? But I mean, it's happened in the past. And good Ole Miss teams have lost to bad state teams in Oxford. We've actually been pretty good in Starkville, which gives me a little bit of hope. Just because over the last decade, I think Ole Miss teams kind of feed off of that like animosity that they get in Starkville. I just think it's going to be a close game. And you guys' points are valid. That State has not been great at anything all year long. They don't have a great quarterback. He's been banged up. The running back's banged up. They don't have really good receivers. I get that. I just don't look at the Ole Miss team and say, we're excellent at X, therefore we will run State out of their own building. Because I don't think we're excellent. We're a pretty good team running the ball. I think we've got a couple good receivers. I wouldn't say we're like an excellent passing team. I definitely think our defensive line has gotten weaker as the season's gone along. And I know you'll say, well, we played Georgia and Texas A&M 2 of the last 3 games, which is accurate. I just think that they've been worse as the season's gotten, deeper in it. I don't think our offensive line's been great. Obviously, in the last couple of weeks, we've had a lot of injuries and stuff. And Austin's point about Jaden Williams, it's not just a guy who was on the bench all year; it's a guy who got benched. So I mean, we saw what he had last year, and we thought better of it by playing him this year. So I don't think State does anything great, but I also don't think that we do anything so exceptionally well that we're just going to run them out of their own building. That's all I'm saying. I think it'll be a close game. If the line, like Austin said, if the line gets to 9.5, I'm probably going to have to hit Ole Miss pretty heavily.
We're doing that thing too, Nick, where you mentioned defensive line. I don't know why. This is a trend with Kiffin. We started the year playing like 6, 7, 8 guys on the D-line.
Yeah,
I feel
absolutely.
like the last 2-3 games, we're playing like 5 dudes.
I feel like we played like 9 or 10 guys, or like it was so many guys, it was hard to know. We almost had like 2 full units and some.
Yeah.
And now it's like we've narrowed down who we're playing significantly. And I think that's hurt us. I think we look tired.
No question. I'll throw out a name. I'm not saying he's a world beater, but like he made some plays earlier this year. Akilo Stone, where has he been? Like, what happened to that guy?
I got him playing like 6 games.
I know, like he just disappeared.
The College Corner is headed to Oxford. Stop by their new location in the Oxford Commons off Sisk Avenue. They'll have 4,000 square feet of Rebel gear ready for your trip to the Grove. On your next trip to Oxford, stop by the College Corner or our other great locations in Ridgeland and Flowood. Hats, shirts, polos, pullovers, sweats, t-shirts. College Corner has it all. And as always, you can visit us online at collegecornerstore.com. That's collegecornerstore.com. The College Corner, where your game day apparel meets.
Are you looking at cutting your health insurance premiums by as much as 20 to 30%? Are you aging into Medicare and need help finding a Medicare supplement plan? Call Drew Moak of USA Benefits Group at 601-953-8449. Drew is an Ole Miss grad located in Mississippi and licensed in 7 states. He works with the nation's 2nd largest health insurance brokerage with access to 35 different carriers, and he can help you with any of your health insurance needs. From regular health plans to life insurance to dental and vision and even Medicare, he has it all covered. Now more than ever, it is critical to have a health insurance agent who is local and accessible. So call Drew Moak at 601-953-8449 and get your free quote today. Cooler temperatures are right around the corner, and as I like to say, it's the perfect time to play a round of golf. And if you're looking for a premier golf course in Northwest Mississippi or the Memphis, Tennessee area, go to Cherokee Valley Golf Club in Olive Branch, 15 minutes from the Memphis International Airport. With those cooler temps, you might want to stay warm and comfortable on the course this fall. Go in the clubhouse and check out their new selection of outerwear from Travis Matthew and FootJoy, including FootJoy's new lightweight hoodie. This 18-hole par 72 course includes 4 sets of tees to accommodate all players and has 11 lakes, 52 bunkers, and the wide zoysia fairways and extra-large champion Bermuda greens and clean roughs make for an excellent opportunity every single time to post a number. If you need a premier golf experience in the Mid-South, go to Cherokee Valley Golf Club. Call them at 662-893-4444 or check them out, olivebranchgolf.com.
We've all been there before. A weekend trip to the casino canceled because real life came calling. Well, MyBookie's new and improved online casino is here to change the game. Dive into a truly realistic casino experience featuring the latest in slots, progressive jackpots, and live dealer action, all from the comfort of your own home. Take advantage of weekly blackjack tournaments and a brand new collection of high-end games for a chance at real cash rewards. The MyBookie Casino provides a Las Vegas experience when the action's in your hands. And the best part is you don't even need to wear pants. Your adventure at the MyBookie Casino begins today with a generous sign-up bonus using promo code TOC for Talk of Champions, TOC. That's promo code TOC to secure yourself a sweet deposit bonus. And that's not all, because their revamped loyalty program ensures that you'll be showered with rewards, including free spins, cashback offers, and a host of exclusive VIP perks. The more you play, the more you win. Play anytime, anywhere with the MyBookie Casino. And make sure to check out MyBookie for all your gaming needs at www.mybookie.ag. That's www.mybookie.ag.
I didn't know that a top 20 passing offense and a team that's third in the country in yards per completion is not a good passing offense. That was
Cook him, Zach.
Oh, I said we're not a great passing offense, and I don't think we are. I think
What do you
Dart is a
mean?
good quarterback.
I can't imagine
Not Matt
what you would think
Corral.
is great. Like Joe Burrow. Like, what are we talking about?
Y'all think y'all think we're as good as we were when we had Matt Corral passing the ball?
Well, no, because it's a
No.
completely different quarterback. Like Matt
We-
Corral is
I don't
all-world
think-
arm talent.
I
But
don't
Jackson
think
Dart
that
is
we
not
struck
terrible.
Dart.
We played one of the
I don't-
worst teams in FBS, and we looked sluggish for 3 quarters. So that passing offense didn't do
Also,
great there. The week
on-
before
on
we were
this-
at Georgia, we had 2 good drives. The week before we did well against Texas A&M, thankfully, because their defense, at least in the first half, fell asleep. And in the second half, what did we do? We hung on for dear life.
Oh my gosh.
No, I
Okay,
don't
this
think
this
great.
Ole Miss has not played 3 good quarters on the road. Ole Miss has played how many road games this year?
4.
4, and 3 of them were against Access Bowl teams. One of which
I
Ole Miss
think-
covered.
Sure, I think we'll do a lot of what we did.
2 of the 4
at
games
Auburn.
Ole Miss covered, and the other 2 are going to be potentially in the playoffs.
Sure. I
Like-
think, well, okay, 1. But I think we'll do a similar to
Okay,
what we
the
did at
other one's
Auburn. I think it'll be a
Alabama.
sluggish game.
Like, holy shit!
Jackson Dart almost threw for 400 yards against Texas A&M.
Listen, this is what I'm saying.
Mid.
It's so hyperbolic. If I say Ole Miss is not gonna win by
389
100
against
points,
LSU.
therefore I think Ole Miss sucks.
244 against Alabama.
So
244? Crown him.
So Nick,
Oh,
because,
did you not hear the other 2 games that I mentioned? Come on,
No, I
now.
didn't.
so
David was
Dart
talking.
can't throw the ball.
Google
95
some
yards
churches
like
in Starkville,
Corral, so
dog.
Nick thinks he sucks.
No, again, if I don't think that like Jackson Dart is the second coming of Joe Montana, it's like,
That's
you
not what
shouldn't
we're
think we suck.
saying.
This is that classic argument online. People are like, when you say one thing, you said another thing. Like, no, I didn't say that. Like,
No,
I
you
just said I don't
said
think
that
we're
our-
an elite passing team.
Only
I'm not
Power
saying
5
Dart sucks.
only Power 5 program with 3 guys with 700 or more yards receiving, but just not great.
I had like
Yeah.
400 of those against UT Martin at the beginning of the year. The only thing I think that actually sucks about the Ole Miss football team, and I truly, and I meant to mention this, I think this will bite us at some point on Saturday, is our punting is so bad.
Well, fortunately,
punt.
we played
Oh,
Thursday.
it
punt.
is so bad. It is so
Just
bad.
don't
Yes,
punt.
Thursday. You're right. Yeah, we just need to not punt. But what I'm worried about is, I don't know if y'all have noticed the last couple of games, we've ran it out of the end zone, or teams have kicked it short, and we've struggled getting it back. Anytime you run the ball on a kickoff and you don't get to the 25-yard line, it's lost yards, right? A couple times we've gotten it to like the 10. The other day we got it to the 10, and then we got a holding called on us, so we started at the 5. If that happens in Starkville and all of a sudden we kick it from the 5, it's not going past like the 43. That's what worries me about giving State a short field early in the game, and it kind of builds momentum, because I expect we will have a bad punt or 4. if we have to punt 4 times. It's just
all
we're
I'm
bad
asking-
punting.
All I'm asking for is to point to the game where we can say, hey, State played that Power 5 opponent, and I guess sans Arizona, who had 5 turnovers. Other than that game, SEC opponent, where it's like
Their
dang, they
defense
got
was
momentum
stout in Fayetteville.
They got momentum in that game. I'm talking about offensively. Point to an SEC game where they did.
No, none offensively. But what if they gave momentum Thursday?
There's just no proof that that's going to happen.
I also just don't think
it matters.
I guess
my counter would be there's no proof that we're going to play 4 good quarters on the road.
Maybe you don't even need 4 good quarters against.
I was going to say if they're.
I don't. No, Zach, what you just said right there is 100%. I agree with you. I don't think we need 4 good quarters. I just think that's why it'll be close late. I don't think you need 4 good quarters against MSU. If you get 2 good quarters, you're probably going to beat them. I just think it'll be close late because we're not going to get the 2 quarters.
But how close? Because you said you think they cover. So, like, are you saying 10 points, 13? How close?
Like 28-13, 28-17, something like that. So
well,
I think
that's
we
not
cover.
close to me. Like,
Correct,
we have 2 different definitions.
28-13 for this Mississippi State offense might as well be 48-13.
That's true. But that's a final score. If you told me it was 14-13 midway through the third quarter, I 100% believe that.
Okay, look at the past Egg Bowls with better Mississippi State teams other than the 19 game, the Piss and the Miss game. When have we had them by 1 point in the third quarter?
I see what you're saying. I think
those
this
games
team
have been handled.
They have been. We talked about that earlier in the week. We've been up. Ole Miss was up 38-13 in one game. We were at 31-13. I think the difference is this MSU team knows they're the underdog. When was the last time they went in as this big of an underdog in an Egg Bowl? And I think that's going to motivate them. They're playing for an interim head coach that they seem to like. They've got their quarterback back, even if he's not all that good. I think they're going to rally around him. And I think they are going to relish being the underdog, no pun intended, in this game.
Okay.
I think it's going to come out a little bit.
I mean, we relish being the underdog in Athens, and you saw how well that went for us.
Nick, I bet you won't tweet any of this at Bo Wallace.
Oh Lord, oh, God.
Nick, I get what you're saying. Now, I don't get what you're saying about the offense through the air not being good. But other than that, sure, it's Mississippi State, and things get weird. But at the end of the day, I think the talent gap at key spots is too big. Emmanuel Forbes is not walking out of that tunnel. Who do they have that can shut down Trey Harris? Who do they have that can keep up with Dayton Wade, Jordan Watkins? Yeah.
And look, that really was critical to their game plan last year. They walked up and did like double A gap blitz against us for like the entire second half.
They did.
And then put their corners on the islands because they had NFL corners, and we could not do anything. We couldn't exploit them over the top. We couldn't get we just couldn't function. Our offense completely bogged down. They're not going to be able to do that. Or if they do, good luck, because Trey Harris and Dayton Wade and Watkins are going to exploit it. Like, this secondary is bad. State usually has a guy at corner, not like LSU guy, but like usually a guy that's gonna, at least have a cup of coffee in the NFL. They don't have that guy. Yeah. They don't have that guy this year.
Banks.
So last year you mentioned just man-free, blitzed all second half. What happened? Ole Miss started hitting Watkins, started hitting Wade, started finding some things over the middle.
And look, Mingo had a big drop. I mean, people forget. We probably win the game if Mingo just catches the ball.
What was the score at halftime last year? Like 20-3 or something? I feel like we were beating them pretty bad at half. I could be wrong, but I thought we kind of had the game in hand at that point.
At halftime last year, it was 16-14 Ole Miss.
Yeah.
Oh, never mind. I'm wrong. Okay.
I think that Kiffin will be able to.
And then we put up 6 in the second half.
Yeah. I think Kiffin will be able to scheme up some things to get guys open. But I'm really curious because I don't know who's running the defense for them. I don't know what they're going to do because that coaching staff is well aware that they do not have anyone to shut down Trey Harris. So how is that going to affect the way they call the game? Are they going
to? If I'm State's coach, I'm sending the house like the whole.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah,
You go out shooting your bullets. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not going to play
the
back.
box.
Correct.
Stack the box.
Just send
make
them.
them protect Dart and make him complete throws.
Yep.
But I think that plays into Ole Miss's hand because I think they're going to take their shots one-on-one with Trey Harris. They're going to, I think Priest Corn has been much better in the last couple weeks. He's still hampered. He's still got the foot thing is still bothering him. He definitely looks like he can barely run, but he can still get open and make catches.
My one thing that it benefits too, and that people don't really notice this, but when you send a lot of pressure and send guys, sometimes you blitz yourself out of the play, and then that's when Quinshon Judkins has, you can run past the run play when you're blitzing, and then that's when you break into open grass. So it's definitely a boom or bust approach, but I think that's the only way they're going to be able to do it. I don't think you can do the bend but don't break in a game like when you're not, the sitting head coach, when you're the stand-in and you've got really good linebackers. State does. I mean, Watson's an NFL player.
He's an all-SEC.
They've got really good linebackers. They've got a really good defensive lineman. One in particular, what's his name, Pickering. So they've got some guys up front. If you send people along with them, then you can create enough chaos to maybe get a big sack, whatever. Especially with us having a makeshift offensive line, depending on where everybody's going to play. That's their best chance. The problem that arises when you do that is like y'all just said, you put a corner on an island with Trey Harris. That's not a recipe for success as a defense. And I'm not saying that Jackson Dart couldn't make a poor throw. You get to him before he lets go of the ball, all that kind of stuff. That all could happen. It's just, can you do that for 4 straight quarters? I don't know. And here's the thing, to Nick's point, let's say they do get turnovers on the plus side of the 50. Can they punch that in? I mean, when have they given any sort of indication that they can do that? Would y'all agree with me? Okay, just going with common opponents. Would y'all agree with me that LSU now is a perfect game that they had against State, and that just happens? But y'all would agree that their defense isn't spectacular, right? I mean, they're just not. State ran the ball for like 50 yards on LSU. They threw the ball for like 120. They had like 200 yards of offense against LSU. Okay. The same LSU team the very next week, I think we played them, didn't we? I think we played them the very next week and had 600 yards of offense.
700.
So, yeah, okay. Semantics. So, point being is like, it's not just it's both sides of the ball that they've struggled, and they don't have a game that you can look to. I guess Arkansas, where they had 205 yards of offense, that you can look to and point and say, well, actually, they really did look like the team there. Maybe Arizona, but again, different quarterback, 5 interceptions. Look, if Jackson Dart comes out Thursday and throws 5 picks,
we're going to lose. Yeah, exactly.
That's correct. Exactly. But we can't count on that. And in fact, to echo Austin's point about it mirroring the Auburn game, to me, having been at Auburn, sat with Nick, I think that was as poor as Dart has played this year, and we still probably should have won by 3 or 4 touchdowns.
And that was definitely the first half was his worst half this year.
And we had outgained them still by like 200 yards. Yeah. So now that goes without saying, you've got to punch it in. You can't turn it over. You can't get that way here at State. You can't put the ball on the ground. You can't shank punch. You can't snap it over their head. Things get weird. we've watched Ole Miss upset opponents before that they shouldn't have. So, like, it happens. There hasn't been a game this year that other than Arizona, I guess. I keep saying I guess because whatever. There's not been an SEC game this year that you can point to and say, you know what, State was really good that game. And if that State team shows up, we're beat. They just don't have it.
Okay. Final question before we get score predictions.
Yeah, sure.
Ole Miss's. Okay. Mississippi State plays an A+ game, Ole Miss still wins with a C+ game. Yes or no?
I don't
I
even
think
know
it's
what an A
really
plus
tight.
game. What does an A
Yeah.
plus game from state look like? And I'm trying to assume the
Yeah.
hypothetical.
That kind
Like,
of goes to my point just
yeah,
now in that diatribe. Like, I don't know.
like give me the
Like,
number that state puts up in an A plus effort.
yeah, like that's basically what I'm saying is even with State playing quote perfect, Will Rogers throws 3 touchdowns. Marks has 1 rushing touchdown.
I think A plus from them is like 34 points, like 35 points.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
We could be in trouble at 35.
Yeah,
Oh, they're beating us at 35 points.
Oh, well, I mean, Ole Miss is dog shit passing offense isn't going to do anything. Okay, so looking at their SEC results, their best offensive output against an SEC team was against South Carolina in September?
Mm-hmm.
That was their 4th game.
Mm-hmm.
And that was 30 points. And that was on the road too.
Against their future coach.
Yeah. South Carolina's defense is dreadful. And that's it though. 14 against LSU, 17 against Bama, 7 against Arkansas, 13 against Auburn, 3 against Kentucky, 10 against A&M.
That and the A&M asterisk that the touchdown was a kickoff return.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
3.
So they had back-to-back 3-point performances from their offense with Kentucky and A&M.
Yeah. I mean,
and their touchdown against Auburn came in the 4th quarter.
Yeah. Because that game was a weird one where the whole game felt like Arkansas is going to score again to put it out of reach, and they just never did.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole time it was like, I don't even think State got past the 50, a handful of times. And then they finally get the touchdown, and then Arkansas, shits their pants and loses. But
since October 1st, so the last 2 months, State has scored 20 points with their offense against SEC opponents.
Combined?
Averaging 5 points a game in SEC play since October 1st.
Now,
Their
in fairness,
offense
a lot of that was without Rogers. A lot of it was without Marks, but I don't.
But it's against A&M, Kentucky, Auburn, and Arkansas. It's not like they were playing Georgia and Alabama.
Yeah, and they're still not healthy either, by the way. I mean, they're better than the alternative on their roster, but they're not healthy.
And you compare that.
I say all that say it still is the Egg Bowl. Throw the record books out, and we could lose. So,
yeah,
that's my it depends answer as a lawyer. Well, it depends.
I mean, if you look at the SEC totals for Ole Miss this year, and we don't have to do the whole schedule. We'll just do recent. So 17 against Georgia, it's best program in the world. They're probably going to three-peat. 38 against A&M, 33 against Vandy, 28 against Auburn, 27 against Arkansas, and then the 55 against LSU. I just think, sure, maybe it's kind of funky early.
When you say it that way, it's like, dang.
I mean, look, sure, this is an Ole Miss podcast, but at the end of the day, one team is 9-2, and the other is 5-6, and has won one SEC game. So,
several of the Mississippi State guys I know would frankly agree with us on this year.
I mean, I've heard 0 from the one Mississippi State guy now all week.
Yeah, he'd be like, man, I ain't gonna be good Thursday, something like that.
I mean, just
now they'll still be salty at kickoff though.
Oh yeah,
they will have convinced themselves by kick that they're going to beat us.
Mississippi State.
I can't blame them there.
Kicks
I do
a field goal to
go
up 3-0.
It's part of being a fan.
Yeah,
the text will be flying, but I think, and going back to kind of what we've said all year, the mindset and mentality of this Ole Miss team all year, they've kind of relished being in that hot seat. I don't think it's going to get to that point in this game, but I just think that this team, with its older roster, experienced quarterback, and a head coach that is going for 10 wins in the regular season for the second time in 3 years, and a chance to win 11 games for the first time ever. I just think they're going to be able to be focused and they're going to get it done. That's kind of my short answer on how I think this game goes. I'm saying 34-14 Ole Miss.
I like that. I'll give them a garbage touchdown and go 33-20.
Yeah. Cover.
I mean, what's the weather? Clear?
It's clear. There's like a
Yeah.
single
Chilly.
digit chance of rain, but yeah, it's fine. And I said this today. I think if it rains, that's good for Ole Miss.
Mm-hmm. I'll go
ahead and say 27-13.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all right around the same at the end of the day. I'm going to say it's probably 2 touchdown win too. So I'm going 39-24. I think they probably they're fired up the first half. I don't hate that analysis by Nick. I think that's very possible. And so maybe 39-21, something like that. But I think we just kind of continue scoring. I think this is one that Kiffin has circled, to be honest with you, after last year.
Mm-hmm.
And one that it's one of those deals where I hate to sound this way, but I think that dude's arrogant enough that he's like, dude, we should not be losing to them. Like I don't, I'm not saying that's fair for Ole Miss, but I'm saying that our head coach probably looks at certain SEC programs, Arkansas being in that mold, Kentucky, that sort of thing. He's like, there's no sense in us losing to those teams. And fair or not, I think that's his approach. And so I think he's got this one circled after last year. I mean, he keeps talking about 21-2 or 22-2. That's one of those losses for our home games in the last 2 years. So anyway.
Yeah, I think, and honestly, if you're an Ole Miss fan, that's the mindset you want Kiffin to have. That's the mindset you want your head coach to have about this rivalry and about this at this point in time where Ole Miss is on the cusp of, I mean, look, if the playoff was already expanded, Ole Miss is in this year, and they're right there because you think there are going to be some other teams in front of you that lose this week, championship week. So Ole Miss is right there in that, whatever, 11, whatever matchup. And chance to win 10 for the second time in 3 years, and then a chance to win 11 in a big time bowl game. I mean, this is why you take the job. This is why you're at Ole Miss. This is, okay, we're paying you $9.5 million a year. Well, let's see some results. Well, now it's happening. This is when he has the chance to really step on Mississippi State's throat and put them away. That's kind of, I think that's this game. He's got to be able to do it.
Agreed.
Also, whether we like it or not, whether it's true or not, we could view this in a manner of, everything is going on resumes, whether that be players, coaches, whatever. Not saying that Kiffin's planning on leaving, but you kind of have the college football eyes on you in the Egg Bowl. And if you lay another egg this year, pardon the pun, after last year, you start, the last thing we put on national tape is the Georgia game. And it's bad for the program, bad for Kiffin's resume, frankly, if you go and lay an egg this Thursday. Because everybody's watching you just like they were watching us against Georgia. And so then you're like, and then everybody in the country is like, oh, well, they're frauds. I mean, they may be 9-3, but they just won a bunch of coin toss games. You just can't have that happen. So you've got to take care of business. And I frankly think that we practiced for state all last week too. I bet we didn't prepare for ULM at all.
No, not a chance.
Or we can lock it. Sorry.
Nick, any final thoughts?
No, y'all text me at halftime and be like, man, why do we look so flat?
We could. They play 4 quarters for a reason. Why do you need to play 4 good quarters when 1 good quarter will do?
I agree. And hopefully we just
could be
have
flat,
a third
could
and
be
fourth quarter
flat,
like we
but
did at Auburn.
playing flat, but still up 24-10.
That would be fun too.
Think about everything that went bad at Auburn. We dropped a field goal snap and almost threw a pick six, shanked a punt out of bounds.
How many times this season were there points in games where it was past Ole Miss teams would have folded? LSU for sure. Down 9 in the fourth quarter with less than 7 minutes to go, 6 minutes to go.
Yeah.
A&M.
Look, Arkansas would have gotten
Auburn.
tricky. A&M for sure.
Yeah, Arkansas, yeah.
Tulane.
Yeah, early on the road. I mean, I think that's where, and I've said it over and over all year, but I just think that, I mean, I was talking to a source about recruiting where they were saying that they just think Ole Miss is wanting to continue to get older as a roster, where you're wanting to continue to build that depth of, we're going to get portal guys, but we're not just getting, the 4 or 5 star that didn't play and they want to go somewhere else. They're wanting to add the John Saunders, the Isaac Ukwus, the players that played a lot somewhere. And it's not just a red shirt guy that's just, okay, come in and you learn the system and maybe we'll play you in the 5th game this year. Now they're wanting plug and play older, 4th year, 5th year guys. And I think that that's really shined through this year in this Ole Miss team where, like we said, there were plenty of times this year on the road and at home when it could have gotten squirrely, and it didn't, because just a resilient bunch. I mean, all the cliches, but it's true. You can call it a coin flip or you can call it resiliency. Depends on which national pundit you ask.
Depends on which school.
Yeah, absolutely.
Talking about
Missouri's just, they're feisty, man. Resilient. Ole Miss, just lucky. Coin flips. All right, let's get into some picks here. We've got a ton of football Thursday, ton on Friday. A lot of games. And then Saturday, full slate. So if somebody has a lock, go ahead and fire away.
I'll start us off. Penn State, Michigan State under 43. If you look back at Penn State, I think if you guys are probably like me, you've seen 2 Penn State games thus far this year. Them looking bad against Ohio State, them looking bad against Michigan on offense. And so you think they have a bad offense, and that's basically what I'm banking on here. Not necessarily that they have a bad offense, that I don't think they're going to absolutely, run the score up on Michigan State. And I don't think Michigan State's going to do much at all offensively. The numbers at 43, it started at 42.5, so it really hadn't moved much. But I think the Penn State's just so much better than Michigan State. They'll do what needs to be done. I don't expect that they have any reason to run it up other than to make sure that they stay in the top 11, so they can get an access bowl. But I don't think that's, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think that's something like James Franklin's looking at, hey, let's make sure we get down to the Peach Bowl for our fans. I really don't. I think their season's kind of lost after losing to Penn State or to Michigan and Ohio State. So I'm thinking this is going to be something like a 28-6 game. I think Michigan State's bad. It's at Ford Field, which is a place neither one of these teams play very often. So it'll be kind of interesting on Friday night. They had that, reason they had to play there because Michigan State doesn't host night games. I don't even know if they've got lights. But, under 43 in this game.
All right. I like that one.
So I'm on Vegas Insider right now, and it looks like the Hard Rock lines are delayed because, for example, we have, let's say, the LSU and A&M game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The line everywhere is 11.5, except Hard Rock, it's 7.5.
Yeah, they've not updated.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna take advantage of that. But I wanted to call that out to everybody before y'all, if y'all were looking at the same thing I am. because that's just not, that ain't right. They probably wouldn't take it.
Well, speaking of that game, I will lock LSU in at 11 if I can get a flat 11.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
11.
They're still clearly trying to get Daniels to New York,
Yeah.
and they wanted to win the Heisman, and they kept him in late last week against like Georgia State. They're going to do the same thing this week. They're going to try to pad the stats and run it up against A&M. They already sort of have a little rivalry going on. I mean, it's kind of a forced rivalry, but whatever. They do recruit against each other, and they've had some interesting games over the last few years. I think Brian Kelly and LSU will be absolutely motivated to hang a number here. I do not think A&M can keep pace. Half their roster is no doubt eyeing the portal. If Max Johnson plays, he's still banged up. What was the rumor that was a broken rib? Is that what he's got? Cracked rib or something?
That was after the Ole Miss game, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if he plays, he's not going to be 100% effective. I just don't think A&M can keep pace. I think LSU gets into the high 40s here, plays Daniels right until the end of the game, until his legs fall off. So it's something like 45-24 LSU.
Yeah, I like that. I've got one. And y'all may hate this, but I've got to take advantage of it. So let's go to Gainesville, Florida. I'm going to take the Gators plus 6.5. Florida State lost Jordan Travis. He's out for the year. I liked Florida's backup last week against Mizzou, and the quarterback. That guy's good, and he's going to be fun. And I think that they can. Now, I don't know that they can win, but I think they can keep it within a touchdown. And so, if I would love a flat 7. I'm not seeing a flat 7, but I'll take the 6.5 at home and take my chances and go with the Gators.
I like it.
Yeah, no, it's 6.5 across the board.
And
plus, I just can't. I can't do Florida State right now. I just,
Yeah.
With the rankings coming out tonight, too, Florida State fell to 5th. So, that could go one of two ways with losing Travis and falling to 5th. You could be super motivated, come out with your hair on fire, or you could kind of be resigned to your fate. You lost your leader, your best player. You're on the outside looking into the playoff picture now with virtually no chance of getting in there. They could come out and be really flat, and Florida could clip them. I mean, it is in the swamp, right? It's in Gainesville. Yeah. I mean, I think Florida State's got the more talented roster and certainly has a better coach, but who knows where their heads are at?
Yeah, but Sunbelt Billy could win a lot of favor with the fan base by winning,
And look, in some ways, I think having the backup here is is almost more advantageous because he's going to just run zone read and play ball control. Like he's not even going to take shots down the field with that kid.
Mm-hmm.
They're just going to play keep away, which obviously benefits you as the catching 6.5.
This podcast also comes to you thanks to Bluff City Advisory Group, Memphis's leading team of finance professionals who can provide advanced assistance with financial planning, pension, and qualified plan support, and business and estate planning strategies as well. Former Ole Miss Rebel and founding partner Ben Still, along with his elite-level customer service team, make it their goal to help you meet the ongoing demands of your financial needs. Learn about this and more at bluffcityadvisory.com.
The Talk of Champions podcast network is brought to you in part by the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. It's getting close to the end of 2023. And if you need to make year-end donations for tax purposes, call the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation and they'll walk you through their philanthropic giving initiatives. Whether it's the Vault Society or Empower, both initiatives give you a tax-deductible way to support the Champions Now campaign for Ole Miss Athletics. Or if you're working on estate planning, call the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation to discuss Forever Ole Miss. For further information, call 662-915-7159. That's 662-915-7159. Or visit givetoathletics.com. That's givetoathletics.com. It's the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation, a proud sponsor of the Talk of Champions podcast network.
Let's go to Huntsville, Texas, Elliott T. Bauer Stadium. We're going to keep it in the family here. I'm laying 3 with Middle Tennessee against a 2-9 Sam Houston Bearcats team. I'll say this. Middle bad year, but Nick Vattiato, the quarterback, has kind of slowly built a pretty solid campaign. They lost to a really good New Mexico State team, 13-7, in just a fist fight, and then they lost by 7 on the road to an undefeated Liberty team that had to pull it out of their ass to win that one. They beat Louisiana Tech 31-23. They whipped FIU 40-6, and they won last week 34-30 against UTEP. Sam Houston's bad, and I think Middle's going to do enough offensively. Quarterback's good. He can run. They've got a couple receivers that can create some matchup problems for Sam Houston. And I think they're looking to close out. I mean, they're 3-2 their last 5. I mentioned the 2 losses were to 2 really good teams. I think they're looking to close out strong, and only 3 against a 2-win team. I think that they can get this one done. I mean, maybe at 5-7, they try to go for an APR score and get a bowl game. Probably not, but I think they're going to close out strong. I like Stockstill and the Blue Raiders to get this one done.
The quarterback's kind of fun to watch too. Like he chunks it around.
He is, yeah. Saw him live last week. He had a really bad pick, but big kid. He's physical. He can get out of the pocket and make you pay. And they got some receivers that are pretty solid. They're pretty big, and they got a couple running backs that run pretty well. Everyone's favorite number 5. Octavius Mathers is on staff there.
Nice.
So they can run the football, but yeah, only 3. Come on.
Yeah. Well, look, you mentioned New Mexico State. So I heard the stat this week. Over the last 40 years, there have been 4 teams who were dogged by 3 touchdowns or more and went on to win by 3 touchdowns or more. Jerry Kill against Hugh Freeze accounts for 2 of those 4 over the last 40 years.
Wow. That's oh, that was that 2 years ago when Liberty had Marquise Willis or Malik Willis?
Last year, New Mexico State beat them, at Liberty, like 45-10 or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Malik Willis, yeah.
Yeah.
That dude knows Hugh Freeze's game then.
He does, man. He's got Hugh's number.
Yeah, my father-in-law said that the Auburn defensive coaches reached out to them about what they did to slow down New Mexico State in that 13-7 game. Clearly, they didn't take good notes. It didn't work.
They reached out to them and then disregarded everything they said.
They accidentally deleted the Word document. Yeah. But, yeah.
Still the wrong signs.
Yeah. Tough scene. All right.
I've got another lock unless Nick wants to go since he let off.
Yeah, well, let me go ahead and grab this one since this is the antithesis of what I said about Ole Miss. This is a flagship school going on the road to the state school. They're favored by roughly 10 of a home team that's pretty disappointing. Arizona been playing really good football the last about 6-7 weeks ever since they figured out the quarterback situation. They go to Arizona State. Arizona State is pretty awful. They're 3-8. Just looking over the last few weeks, they got destroyed by Oregon. They did beat UCLA and looked pretty good. Okay, fair, 17-7. The week before, they lost 55-3 to Utah. This is not a good Arizona State team, and Arizona's figured it out. They've won 5 straight. Their defense has actually been pretty good, only giving up more than 24 points once in that, and it was like a backdoor type situation there with Colorado. They're laying 10.5, and I think this is going to be a beatdown. I think this is going to be similar to what you guys think Ole Miss is going to do to State. I expect it to be like 45-24, 45-17, something like that. Arizona is a lot better. They're 9-3. I guess maybe there's a chance at them getting the best non-access bowl for a Pac-12 team, and that's what they're going to be playing for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good pick. Arizona State just hasn't been the same since Rashada got hurt.
No, they've been banged up, and Arizona's just better than they are, man. Arizona's got some dudes.
Dude, they got probably one of the better 1-2 punches at receiver with McMillan and Cowing.
Yeah, I got some dudes that need to come to the SIP.
Yeah. Fafita's fun, man. Like I said, he's like what John Rice Plumlee could be with an arm.
And Fish is a good coach. I mean, he inherited
be
an
on some-
absolute disaster and has turned it around.
I don't know why he doesn't get more play in coaching search carousels.
Let's
All
keep
right.
it that way. I would not want him at our
You
neighbors
don't-
to the south.
Yeah, absolutely not.
All right, I've got one. What have we picked so far? I just want to make sure I'm not picking somebody's.
LSU,
I don't think-
Florida, Penn State, Michigan State, Arizona, MTSU.
I'm going to take another home dog in the SEC playing an ACC opponent. Give me the Gamecocks of South Carolina
Mhm.
There he is.
plus. If I get 7.5, I'll take 7.5. But
Yep, DraftKings.
so South Carolina at home against Clemson. Look, I think Clemson's kind of figured something out a little bit. They blew out a decent Georgia Tech team, and then they won at North Carolina by either 9 or 11 last week. With that said, though, I think South Carolina's playing for a bowl game. They've got the quarterback at home, and I think this is one. How many? And I may tell on myself here. When's the last time South Carolina beat Clemson?
Last year, right? Yeah.
Did they beat them last
Wow.
year?
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah, I was thinking. I was like, wait, I think that was actually last year. Either way, in Clemson, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the Gamecocks to cover. I don't know that they win outright, but I like catching 7.5 at home. I like it against a Clemson team that's not as good as they have been, even though they're playing better here towards the end of the year. But this is a little bit of a legacy game for Rattler. So give me the Gamecocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
He's already teased he could be coming back.
He should. Even though I
Yeah.
think he's going to be a good NFL player either way, I think he should come back.
Beamer needs to be giving him like a game check to come back.
Yeah.
Like give him like a bonus.
I like betting teams too who are going for that 6th win. We talked in the preseason about how it does matter to some programs. Bowling is important. Coaches get incentivized to bowl. Seniors want one last ride with the team. You want the extra bowl practices. So I'm not saying it's an automatic bet on a team with 5 wins, but in a rivalry game at home, night game, it's going to be crazy hostile environment with a capable quarterback and an elite wide receiver over a touchdown. You have to play it.
And the difference between that game and the Ole Miss game with Mississippi State, who's also going for its 6th win, is South Carolina has a coach. They still have their head coach, and they have an NFL quarterback. And so, it's a little bit different than the state game.
Sure,
Yeah.
the number says it's different too.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
this is hovered around 7. State Ole Miss opened at what, like 13, and got
It
bet
was-
down.
I think that
15.5, I think. 14
Okay,
and a half.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I think it was 14.5 when it opened.
I mean, that's another line tells the story there.
Yeah. That's a good
When's
pick.
the-
I think I picked South Carolina to win outright on a podcast earlier today. I think they can get it done.
I wonder how many. Yeah, I do too. I wonder how many greater than 14-point opened lines. So games that open up more than 14 points. I wonder how many underdogs win those in college football. Like the percentage. Is it 10%
Outright win.
outright?
I was
Gotta
actually
be
looking at
pretty
that number
low.
earlier. Somebody make a pick and I'll find it again. Let me. Let's see.
I'm just gonna ask the question that we ask every week. Is anybody touching 27.5 Iowa, Nebraska?
So I saw it at 26.5, but in both cases, I can't touch that. And I take Iowa a lot. I play that hit,
Let
but
me double check.
I just can't.
What they
do-
updated
26 and a
total.
half.
26.5 now.
I can't do that, man.
That's crazy.
Yeah, that's just
To me, it's
17-10 doesn't it goes over.
I also think this could go one of two ways now because Iowa's clinched
Yeah,
the Big Ten title game. They could just come out and just be like, fuck it.
yeah. I'm really considering locking in Nebraska. I think they found something last week with Purdy at quarterback. It's a home game. Again, this is another 5-win team. And as Zach said, what incentive does Iowa have to come out and bust their ass in this game? They're already in the championship game. Why come out and risk injury? And I don't know if y'all watched the end of last week's game at Iowa.
Oh,
They acted like they had won the fucking
yeah.
national championship. Like it was a celebration. They were crying. Like Ferentz was hugging his kid on the field. Like
It was his
amazing.
last game at home, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What if
yeah.
Iowa just doesn't show up for the Big Ten title game? They're
Dude,
like,
they
we're
may
done.
not.
We're done.
It couldn't.
We
It
did
won't
it.
hurt their scoring average. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that. For the sake of the bit, I can't take that under. I mean, what's the weather in Lincoln this weekend?
Oh, it's gonna be brutal. I think the high is like 30 with. Let me see. Let me find it. 34.
You know it's windy if it's in Nebraska.
34 degrees.
Saturday we got snow flurries, snow showers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh. Low.
Take under
20.
26.5. Get big, son.
That's gonna be miserable.
I might just do it for science.
That is an outrageous under. And I took,
I mean-
28.5 earlier this year, but
Yeah. You wanna
man,
be part of
26
history,
that
Zach.
is a critical half a point.
Be part of history.
Be a part of history.
17-10 goes over. I'm just saying. Like that's
Yeah,
This
but
is
what
crazy.
if it's 13 to,
It's gonna be
13
like
to
8
6.
to 4.
8-4. Is 4 the most unusual number in football? Got to be
Has
right.
to be. Has to be.
Yeah, I would think.
Without a doubt. Or 5.
5 would be more
But a field
common
goal
than
and a
that.
safety.
Field
Yeah,
goal.
yeah.
I mean, but I
4,
don't feel
there's
like
only
either
one way to get there.
True. Return 2-pointer conversion.
People forget that. True.
I mean, either way, 4 and 5 have to be 1-2.
Yeah, for sure. Austin, you got one?
Yeah, look, if they're going to continue to win and ultimately bump us to a bowl game that we don't want to go to, I guess we might as well profit from it. So give me Mizzou laying 7.5 at Arkansas. Arkansas has been a dead program walking for weeks now. We got the dead cat bounce after they fired the offensive coordinator against Florida. Since then, they've reverted to their old ways. I think everybody on that team is waiting for the season to end. Pittman somehow is going to survive, apparently, but they don't seem to be playing for him or showing any signs of life. So I think Mizzou's just pretty good, man. They got a good quarterback, good receivers. Defensive line's pretty salty. The other thing is, Drinkwitz is weirdly like he takes this game personally. I didn't realize he's from Arkansas originally, apparently, and also friends with Gus Malzahn, and I guess feels some kind of way about the way Gus was treated by folks in Arkansas. I don't know, but like Drinkwitz runs it up on Arkansas when he can. I think he does here. I think this is an ass whipping.
He's a wonder boy. He went to Arkansas Tech.
I had no idea. Yeah. So I think this is like 38-14 Mizzou. I don't think this is close at all. It's a weird number. It's not a real rivalry game. I mean, I guess they're sort of rivals now, but I think Drinkwitz is going to want it, and I don't think he's going to take his foot off the pedal. Hopefully, he doesn't do the stand-on business shit at the end of this game like he did against Tennessee.
Oh, Pittman will break his ass down if he does.
Yeah, on the other hand, maybe he will do it just so we can see that.
He'll hug him like
Bob.
like Bob on Fight Club.
His name was Robert Paulson.
All right. Let's go. Yeah, let's go to Philly. Yeah, let's do it. We're gonna go to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania at the Link. Rebs are there Wednesday playing hoops. Memphis Tigers. You're 8-3. Memphis Tigers are going to play the Owls. I am going to take under 65.5. I think Memphis is a pretty solid team this year. I think that they have given away a couple games that were very winnable and had a real shot at going 10-2. I think they close out this season strong, 9-3. You got to think that they are really vibing in that locker room after Fred Smith announced his massive donation that he's giving to the program to get the Liberty Bowl renovated. I think Silverfield, I mean, there were a lot of people around that Memphis program, a lot of fans that were really off of the Silverfield train last year. And he's proved a lot of people wrong. Hennigan's a really good quarterback, thrown for over 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns. They've got some good players. Rock Taylor, almost 1,000-yard receiving season. And Temple's just bad. They're 3-8. They lost to UAB, South Florida. They got blanked by SMU 55-0. And Memphis played SMU to the damn whistle last week in a really good game. I think this is a big-time statement game for Memphis. Get to 9 wins, get to a good bowl game. He's kind of quietly bounced back and put together a really good year. Yeah, I mean, give me like a 45-10 win. I think that can get me comfortably under the number there.
No
What's
faith
the,
in
what's the total?
Kurt
68 and a
Warner's
half,
good.
you said?
65.5.
65.5.
Yeah. But 65.6, sorry.
All right, so somebody asked earlier, 10-point dogs or more straight up this year are 164 and 559 through like that was through like
Higher than I
week.
thought.
That was through 11 weeks. So
Yeah,
I guess it's last week. Yeah.
So like
What was
15%.
about 15, 16%?
Yeah, 16%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. If you were betting them straight up, you would be down. You'd be negative 190 units.
Oh God.
Good Lord. That's a very, very bad bet to bet on teams.
Yeah.
Dang, Vegas killing people in that game. Oh my gosh. Okay.
And think about what the payout would be though if you hit. It's like plus 385. So that
Throw
tells
in a
you
round
how.
robin.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're killing it. Also, have you gone the second pick?
Yeah, I got Mizzou on the board.
Okay, if everyone's got 2, then I'll just go ahead and toss my third one out there.
Here it comes.
This is Washington.
Don't be too excited about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry here. I don't like any of these numbers. I don't know if I told you all that on or off air, but these numbers are just not intriguing to me. Mostly because it's rivalry games, and you know what you can do when you have rivalry games. You start those record books. So records. I just don't love anything. I'm banking on some teams that are just a lot better than other teams, shutting like the bad teams down. And I feel like I've seen that in the past with Washington State. Last year's game was 84 was the total. Don't look at last year's game. Look at the 4 years prior to that. It would have been comfortably under Washington State 68.5. I think Washington is that team that's just like way better than Wazoo. Wazoo has had some like good games at times where you thought like this is a pretty good football team. They've had some stinkers, and this one's in Washington, I believe. And I just think that Washington is just way better. They're gonna, need to kind of maybe score some style points just to be sure that they're not like the 4 seed or something in the college football playoff, assuming they beat Oregon. They haven't played great really since that Oregon game, but I definitely think their defense is good enough to not just get ran all over by Wazoo. So under 68.5, I expect it to be like, I don't know, 38-20, 38-17, something like that. Maybe they'll Fetty Wobble.
You say under 68.5?
Yeah, I comfortably under. That's a lot of points. So, other than last year, the last 5 years, the highest was 53. Again, last year 84, but we don't talk about that.
Nick, this is your Donnie Walter subject moment here. When you're looking at these lines this week, and you're like,
"What's that?
Are these the Nazis, Walter?" No, Donnie, these men are nihilists. There's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be afraid of with these lines. We're gonna finish strong in week 13. I feel it.
I'm skittish, man. I was 0-3 last week. I either am like 3-0 or 0-3, and I don't know which this week is.
No, two weeks ago you were 0-3. You went 2-1 last week.
Yeah, okay. Well, either way, I'm trailing Ben by more than I can catch up to, so the season's pretty much over with.
We're all in striking distance. Austin's at 19 wins. I'm at 20. Nick, you're at 19. Ben's at 22.
He needs to know in
Then
3
that's-
weeks for me if I get a
It's a
win.
3-0 week. Ben doesn't give 0 in 3 weeks. Ben's a
Yeah,
two machine.
Yeah,
I
but
make
he gets-
18 pars, baby.
But he gets a fucking
yeah.
push.
Yeah, great golf. Yeah, push the rest to screw up the season record.
I'm having trouble with my third lock.
I told you.
I either want to do, which are stupid bets. I either want to do Ohio State plus 3.5,
That's a stupid bet.
or Utah minus 21.5
Oh, please do that one.
against Colorado. just on principle, just on business is what I want to do. Yeah,
Are you
Let's
standing
just-
on business?
let's do Utah minus 21.5 coming off of a whipping they took
God.
from Arizona. I'm going to lay 21.5 against Colorado at Utah. They're going to come back and handle business at home. They play a lot better at home than they do on the road. Like two different teams better at home than on the road.
Oh yeah.
And Colorado's dead. That honeymoon's over with. So that's a big high point. If I could get 21 flat, that'd be awesome. But if I can, it's fine. I'm just gonna lay 21.5 and go with my gut. So give me Utah.
See where Cam Rising said he's coming back next year?
Yeah.
Dude, he's gonna
Gonna start playing football again.
quarterback emeritus. Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming back next year. He's still week to week though.
Yeah.
Week to week.
He's got to be like
Definitely.
28.
Yeah. I mean, this is ridiculous. This guy's all-time QB, but he doesn't actually play.
Like, imagine if Jackson Dart played for Ole Miss for like 7 years.
Jeez.
Cam Rising, didn't he start his career at like Florida or somewhere?
He started at Texas, didn't he?
I thought it was
Texas, that's
USC.
right.
Okay.
That's right.
This dude's been edging Utah all season long. I mean, come on.
Oh my God.
Jeez. God. Hasn't fully soaked yet.
It's just, I mean, like, just shake the bed. I mean,
Oh my
Yeah, he
God.
redshirted in 18, sat out due to transfer in 19. So he's so old, he's past the free transfer rule.
18. He's on that Mormon stuff, but he actually didn't go on a mission.
No, his mission's just been there.
I love when I
It
see
was
these
awesome.
college football players like majors and it's like criminology. It's like, what are you learning in criminology?
Dude, you know how many criminology classes you have to take? in
CSI
school?
shit.
7 years.
At this point, if Cam Rising's studying criminology, he's just they're just watching Law and Order reruns.
Yeah.
Seriously. Don't.
He's already
I
seen
think he said
them
he's teaching criminology.
He's
They're growing
engaging in
weed in their mouth.
criminal behavior. If he's gotten any NIL this
Yeah,
year,
they're-
it's
they're
absolutely
tro-
stealing.
He is theft. Like this guy, he crim pro. Like this is unbelievable what he's done. Every single week, he's like, oh, he might play.
Mastermind.
He's writing a dissertation on Sherlock Holmes right now.
Yeah, illegal search and seizures.
He's working close with Guy Ritchie on the next Sherlock Holmes.
That's an illegal frisk. That's it. Know your rights. Know your rights.
I know my rights.
Cam Rising's been at Utah long enough to where like they let him get 2 drinks at the bar now. They're like, you're good. It's fine. It's fine.
Man, he even looks old. Like when you look at it, it's like, dude, that guy could be the offensive coordinator.
Yeah, he's Charlie Weiss's age.
Yeah. I saw a good meme of when Jason Kelsey was walking into the game last night. And he had the Letterman jacket on and his flip flops, and he's just walking with headphones on, and you can hear this like deep sigh as he's walking. And at first, I was like, "Oh man, that's a dad like deep sigh that a dad takes." But then like there were all these memes that were like, here comes the class of 06 into the neighborhood bar on Thanksgiving break. Like just like the older guys just in there like, God, just give me a picture.
Yeah.
Get out of my way.
All right. Who's up? Me?
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna take a dog here. Let's go UTSA plus 3.5 against Tulane. Tulane just hasn't really looked right all year. They've been dodging bullets left and right against inferior competition, and then here comes Frank Harris, who since his return has just dominated. I mean, UTSA is putting up numbers against everybody they play week in and week out. I don't think that Tulane can hold up on the back end very well against UTSA's passing attack. Harris and company are going to want this one. 3.5 feels like it's a little too much. I think this is closer to like a pick. I'm not sure that UTSA isn't better from top to bottom roster wise. Now, Fritz is a really good coach, but so is Traylor. I just give me the team that seems to be peaking at the right time against the team that really hasn't found its footing all season, at least not in the way that we expected. They're winning games, but Tulane just really can't get margin on anybody. And I'm talking teams like Rice. These are not good programs. I think UTSA can win outright, so I'll take the 3.5 as an insurance policy.
And he's wanting to play both sides here. He's wanting to pad that resume for the carousel that's about to get going, but he's also wanting to win for the seniors because he talked about how it's just egregious that people are not talking about these seniors and they're talking about him leaving for another job.
Yeah.
All right. I am just out of principle because I can't do it to my boys out in El Paso because things get weird out there in the mountains. I wanted to lay it with Liberty because Chadwell is going for style points. But that's just final game. I mean, what is real question here for y'all? What is Liberty actually playing for?
Nothing. They've got the championship game locked up too, right? Against New Mexico State.
Are they in an actual league now? They're not independent anymore?
No.
They're in CUSA, but they are playing for a chance. If Tulane loses their game, they're going to an Access Bowl.
Liberty. Yeah, see, I'm like
they're ranked 25th now. As dumb as that is, they're a worse unbeaten team. But whatever.
Yeah, so I'm back and forth on at UTEP. It is 2:30, so it's not like a weird night game, but long flight over there. You got the conference title game coming up. You still got to be undefeated though, but golly. I think what I'm going to do is, as I talk through this with myself, I'm between that game and SMU Navy.
What are you thinking on SMU?
I mean, I think they're going to drill them.
Navy's defense has been a little feisty lately. I like the under there initially. Is it still 46, 47? What is it?
It is 45.5, 46. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, that Navy, they're not terrible. Yeah, give me Liberty because that's an 11 a.m. kick too. So that's sleepy. And SMU's, I mean, what? They're in the American
AAC, yeah.
They'll be in the championship, right?
I think they've got a bunch of weird tiebreakers. I think it really, it
they
may,
got 3 7-0 teams.
Yeah, it may be contingent on the UTSA and Tulane result.
Ooh, yeah. Because that winner goes, and then SMU, well, they could lose and still go. right? Or would it be a tiebreaker with one of those?
I think there are some weird tiebreakers. Isn't this the league that said that they would they're gonna have to put it into like a computer? I swear that came out this week. I think
'Cause
it's the AAC.
they're not all common opponents.
Yeah, there's like some weird computer deal that's gonna just like literally spit out the tiebreaker. I don't think anybody knows.
Oh my God.
I swear I
Yeah, no,
heard
that
that earlier.
definitely seems legit. Nothing
that's-
bad will happen.
Exactly.
Because SMU hasn't played Tulane or UTSA. How does that? What in the world? Stupid league.
Yeah, I think they're gonna
Well, I
use
mean, honestly,
the
this is the
Dominion
problem when you
voting
have-
machines.
This is what happens when you have the leagues this large. Like, I mean, you're not multiple teams
Okay.
not playing the other ones. Like, that's ridiculous.
So here we go. This is from Underdog Dynasty from 2 days ago. So the AAC scrapped divisions in 2020, altering its structure to send the best 2 teams into the conference championship. The host site belongs to the team with the best conference record, and if 2 teams share 8-0 records, the higher ranked team in the college football playoff standings gets the nod. Tiebreaker is crucial to remember as the head-to-head tiebreaker doesn't apply in any tiebreaker since SMU didn't play Tulane or UTSA this season. Wow. Oh, good Lord. Yeah, just give me Liberty. I'll lay the points with Liberty. They're going for style points, and they're trying to go undefeated. Chadwell's trying to build a resume, and I can get 16.5 at Bet Rivers, so I'll lay the points against UTEP. Yeah, I feel good about that. Maybe I'll try to get vindicated after I got bit by Liberty last week with the total. And 2:30 is not as sleepy as 11 a.m. SMU could come out flat. They had a big emotional win against Memphis last week. I do think they'll beat Navy, but
It's just hard to get margin on the service academies because they can play keep away,
Right.
even if they don't
Yeah.
score.
And you said like their defense has been Navy's defense has been pretty solid. They're 5-5. Like UTEP is 3-8.
Yeah.
Nothing to play for. And they just lost a close one to Middle Tennessee last week on the road. They got to go all the way back home. Yeah, give me Liberty 16.5. Chadwell's
I like that.
Run it up.
Yeah, I think he's auditioning, and like Nick said, he's still got maybe a bowl spot to play for.
Yeah. All right. That'll do it as we wrap up here on Hit That Line Week 13 edition, regular season finale episode here. Brought to you every single week by the good folks at Home Field Apparel. Black Friday sale is going on right now. Be sure to go, and if you haven't already used your discount from OM Spirit, you can use that, TOC23, 15% off your first purchase. Or if you have already, no big deal. Black Friday, 20% off. Use code Black Friday at homefieldapparel.com before November 27th, and you get 20% off anything and everything at homefieldapparel.com. Check them out. Check out the Ole Miss collection. It is awesome. Get you a bomber jacket, get you some T-shirts, get you a quarter zip. All of that and more, homefieldapparel.com. We appreciate them being the title sponsor of this here show. We will have more next week as we wrap up the regular season. We will do some championship week picks. We'll try to figure out a way to get some picks in, and then we'll get into bowl season later on. So, gentlemen, as always, it was a pleasure, and we will be back next week. So, for Austin, for Ben, for Nick, I'm Zach. This has been Hit That Line. Until next week, we out.